I am a synesthete, and in a very basic sense, what that means is that my senses cross. Now, that's a very basic sense, in that in the typical idea is that some people will hear, when they look at something, they will hear sounds. When they hear something, they will also get colors. When they taste something, they may also see colors or hear something at the same time. That is a very basic idea of synesthesia, but synesthesia is now widening that whole idea. And in my sense, as a synesthete, I would be a multi-Synesthete anyway, which in my case means that I have a very strong one in particular, maybe two, but to me my strongest would be sound and music, and that crosses the most with sight, with color, but everything kind of crosses with sound with me. I get tastes, I get smells, I get images, I get all sorts of things. I get feelings, I feel things. I definitely feel things inside of me very, very, very strongly. So there's a whole mixture. And I do cross some with other things. I do cross colors with tastes. I will see different letters with different colors. Sometimes I see different numbers with different colors. Sometimes I see different days, but they're bits and pieces, and a lot of times people will take a little issue with that, but they're bits and pieces for me, and there's a more of a strong one, as opposed to I'm this or I'm that, and that's rather than defining myself as one thing or another. This kind of synesthete or that kind of synesthete. I have bits and pieces of various kinds, and at least there's some types of synesthesia, or some the scientists are going into the idea of synesthesia being a much wider concept, because for one thing, synesthesia is a modification of the synapses in the brain. So they're at least seeing it as something that has to do with the senses, rather than quite so, this sense with that sense and that sense with this sense, and being quite so specific, because they are coming up with different parts of synesthesia all the time. There's a time and space type of synesthesia, of which I have part of that. It's not as intense as some people's, but it's partially there, where I do see days kind of lining up a certain way, and into the future this way, or back in the past that way, but it's not as intense as some people's, which would have colors and specific ways of movement. Again, and but even empaths would be considered synesthetes at this point, because again, it is something that deals with the senses. So it's a much wider type of explanation or idea anymore, as opposed to seeing it one way or the other.